Hey, good morning, all. Welcome to the Common Good Podcast, December 19th. We're jumping the gun a little bit on the year-end roundup, but that's because of Tuesdays when they fall the rest of the year. So welcome to the Common Good Podcast, where we do talk about the most important political news to our country and the things that tickle us. So Robb Ryerse, squirreled away somewhere outside of Fayetteville, Arkansas. Taking Pagitt under the big, beautiful blue skies of a clear and wonderful winter, snowless Minnesota day. Snowless on the ground, snowless in the air. Snow free. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Doug. Things are very, very similar here in Arkansas. It's cold and brisk, but blue skies and the sun's out, and yeah, it's just beautiful winter day.
Nothing but blue sky. What's that song?
Yeah.
There's a song.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, you've always struck me as someone who's been a fan of the David Letterman top 10 lists.
Yeah.
I feel like the years I've known you, you like to pull together a good solid
top 10. I come up with a list. I like a list.
Yeah.
So I was sitting last night watching the football game.
Pardon me, Rob. You are not Andrew Whitehead. If anybody's watching this is not Andrew Whitehead. This person is not a professor, but is an author. That is none other than our very own Robb Ryerse. Pardon me, Rob. Back to regular programming for anybody watching the video at this point.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I was watching the football game last night between the Eagles and the Seahawks, and was jumping around some news sites thinking about what we might be talking about today on the podcast, and I thought, oh, we ought to do a year end, and then I was like, top stories of the year, and I'm no. I want to talk about the things that made us laugh the hardest this year in the world of politics. So while I was just sitting watching the football game, I was able to, off the top of my head, jot down about 15 things. Thought of another one this morning. You added one this morning that I couldn't believe I forgot. And so I come up with a little top 10. I think when we did our This Guy's Got to Go podcast about Donald Trump, if people think that this podcast is always only about Donald Trump, we actually used to do a podcast that was 100% Donald Trump. Yeah, we're totally Trump derangement syndrome people.
Called This Guy's Got to Go.
Yeah, This Guy's Got to Go. And on the last day of his presidency, I put together a list of
so good
craziest things that happened in the Trump presidency, and I think I got over 30 things written down off the top of my head. And number one, to this day, I sometimes I think about the fact that what I judged as the number one craziest thing to happen in the Trump presidency, you didn't remember.
Is that right? I don't remember it right now either.
Yeah,
that might be more a sign of my.
Yeah, it was Trump tweeting "Kafefi." So
when the painkillers are kicking in late at night, you got your phone in your hand, and
I mean, your legs have fallen asleep. You've been sitting so long.
You haven't had a bowel movement in days. You're just all backed up. You're just doing all you can. Oh, God bless him. And then we also used to have the podcast, Pray for the President. We'd pray that he would resign every day, every week. Weekly prayer. And people used to get furious. They obviously wouldn't watch what we did. We would just put out pray for the president, which was spurred off of Nancy Pelosi being very appropriately offended when she said she was praying for Donald Trump when he was very ill and on the verge of death. And he said she didn't pray for me. She doesn't like me. She didn't pray for me. And she's like, yes, I do. I follow the teachings of Jesus, and I pray for my neighbors. I pray for my friends. I pray for my political opponents and enemies and everyone. And so we thought, that's a great idea. We should also pray for the president. So what would we pray for? Well, the greatest thing that man could do when he was president was to resign. And it was sincere and also just lovely and on the point.
Yeah.
Um,
So before we get into into our top 10 list, Doug, do you see the news? And you should have, because I texted it to you, that
yeah.
that this Congress, the least productive United States Congress in modern history. Does this come as a surprise?
It does not come as a surprise. They had a slow start trying to figure out who was gonna, be the captain
Yep.
of the team.
Took a break there in the middle.
If the team can't pick their captain, they're probably not ready for prime time. No, I didn't know that. That's measured like on number of bills passed and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And not just number of bills, but like bills of substance. It's one thing to pass a bunch of, you know, renaming the post office kind of bills. But things of substance. Yeah, this Congress, the least productive Congress in modern history.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well,
I
good.
mean, yeah, yeah.
Full of
I
bad ideas. I think they shouldn't be passing any of those ideas into bills.
That's right. That's right. But, as Republicans, particularly my congressman, Steve Womack, loves to complain about the fact that Republicans don't know how to govern. They don't know what they're doing. He bemoans this fact, even though he's been, chairman of the budget committee. He bemoans the fact that, they haven't passed a budget and
Yeah.
all of it.
Du- Dumping on his
Um,
own team. What a guy.
yeah. Yeah. And he's exactly right. They're
Yes.
I remember back in my conservative days and in 1994 when Republicans took the House of Representatives for the first time in 40 years, the Contract with America movement led by Newt Gingrich and Rush Limbaugh was a part of that. And I remember listening to Rush, and Rush used to talk about how um, Republicans had been in the minority for so long in the House that they only knew how to function as a minority party. They didn't know how to function as
Mhm.
a majority party, and that would frustrate him. Um, I it seems, even though in the last 30 years uh, since then, it's kind of bounced back and forth several times between the two parties. It's not like
Yeah.
it was where Democrats controlled the House for 40 straight years. This group of Republican leadership, though, they don't know how to be a majority. They don't have a big majority. But they don't know how to rule. They don't know how to govern. They don't know what they are doing. The incompetence is remarkable. And I guess the only good upside of that is that they have at least passed much fewer horrible ideas,
Bad bills. Well,
bad
look,
bills.
could it be, and not to not to give this clown show credit, but could it be that the philosophy of the current Republican elected officials in the federal House is we don't need any new bills passed for anything. We spend
Yeah,
too much money. We don't need to pass new spending bills. We don't need more of any regulation. So their goal is to not allow Congress to be productive to try to shrink the impact of the federal government in people's lives. Could that be the philosophy of this crowd?
it could be, and that would make some sense, except the every time conservatives get the opportunity to lead, get the opportunity to govern, they betray their small government, limited government, ideals that they campaign on.
Yeah, fair enough.
Consistently, when Republicans, when conservatives get power, they use that power to extend the reach and the impact of the federal government or the state government on people's lives. And all of their stuff about small government and limited
Yeah,
government and all of that just goes out the window. So I don't know.
fair enough.
Maybe we've got actual true believers in Congress where we don't have them in other places, or we just have really incompetent people who don't know what they're doing.
But what they have done is spent a lot of congressional time asking about Hunter Biden and Hunter Biden's laptop,
Yes. Yes. Yes,
which, to
they
be
have.
true, none of us still
Ah,
have seen.
hmm.
And they've been hunting for a smoking gun, which again, the smoke doesn't last long. So I think they've timed out on the smoking gun. All right,
Yeah.
you're ready to get to the
Let's do
top
it.
10. There's going to be none of this
Well,
silliness,
listen.
no music. We're not doing any of that. We're not
Yeah.
playing to the mid '90s late
Yeah.
night
I mean,
television crowd. Only because
yeah.
I forgot to put it together. That's the only
Yeah.
reason. Had I
Exactly.
remembered
Because
to put the music in the pad, I would have been, you know, pushing a button. Oh,
yeah,
maybe we'll use that one.
literally an idea that was born, 12 hours ago. Um,
Okay, pardon me.
well, listen, we
These are the worst.
that's our hot take sound.
Yeah, these are
Listen, we got a couple of Doug. I might need to get you like a soundboard,
map.
kind of thing for Christmas. Um,
Little piece of paper over there that tells me what the 8 buttons do.
yeah. Okay, we got some honorable mentions that we'll just fly through pretty
All right.
quickly here. Honorable mentions on, and again, the list is craziest, most bizarre, funniest, most absurd political stories of 2023. Basically, the things that have made us laugh.
Yeah.
Um,
Basically, the newsletter from the Republican National Committee. But
exactly. So here's a few honorable mentions, things that didn't make the list. Doug, the QAnon shaman is running for Congress. The guy who
convicted felon,
can't vote for himself.
insurrectionist.
Who stormed the United States Capitol
Yeah.
in a Viking moose hat. I don't know what that was, with his face painted, shirtless, wants to be a United States congressman.
Yeah. The very group that he was trying to stop from performing their constitutionally assigned duties, he wants to become one of them.
Yeah.
And not in an
Yeah.
act of repentance, not like,
No.
whoa, consider me a man named Saul who was walking down the road going to Damascus, and I saw the light and I've changed my ways. No, a guy who said, like, hey, maybe if you elected me, then I could do in Congress what I tried to do when I broke in to the Capitol building.
That guy. Oh, great stuff.
Amazing.
Also on the honorable mention list, Clarence Thomas. We learned this year that Clarence Thomas lives large, Doug. He lives large. I mean, he
Says he
doesn't pay for
prefers a
any of it.
Walmart parking lot, but
Yeah,
deep
he
down,
doesn't.
he prefers the silk sheets of the
Yeah, he doesn't
elusive
pay for any of
5-star
it.
hotel.
But he,
That's right. That's right.
my goodness, yeah. Doug, one of the best stories of the year. One of my favorite Congress people, Jamal Bowman, pulled a fire alarm.
Pull the fire alarm.
The middle
Wasn't sure
school
how to get out the
principal,
door.
the middle school principal pulled the fire alarm.
Remarkable.
It's just so great.
A 2024 goal that anyone who wants to have their computer notify them when we go live will have such a thing happen. That's going to be our goal. We have nothing to do with anyone's, of course, notifications, but I'm glad Alex now has her sister notifying her. Alex is a frequent commenter and participant in the podcast on the live stream on
Doug, you ever
YouTube.
pulled a fire alarm?
Only metaphorically. I do a little work with the whistleblowers. No, I've never, I never have, but I will tell you as a, I don't know, late elementary school, early junior high person, seeing those red fire alarm.
Oh,
there were times where it was just like,
the temptation.
am I just in an act of stupidity gonna go pull that thing?
Yeah.
I've never even been near anyone who's pulled one. I've heard them go off, fire alarms inside of buildings, but I've never been near the initiation of one. I don't have any idea. They were, as a child and junior high kid, unbelievably fascinating. Like just knowing the power that would unfold if you just pull that little white lever. And then some of them had glass around them, I think.
Yeah. Oh.
I think
In case of emergency, break glass, and a little piece of metal dangling that you could use to hit the glass.
To break the glass, yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
No, so
It
I get it. I get it. If
yeah,
Bowman was
no.
like, "Hey, now I'm a congressman. I'm gonna be late. I gotta get across here. The door's stuck." No, no, there's no reason he should have pulled a fire
Oh,
he should have pulled the
so
fire
great.
alarm. Has he
I,
ever
uh,
owned up to that in any way that makes more sense than, "I read the
I
signs wrong"?
I don't know. I just have continued to laugh about it. I had someone on Facebook message me last night saying, "Hey, could you talk to Congressman Bowman about this on my behalf?" I was because I know Jamal a little bit,
Yeah.
and I haven't. He asked, do you talk to Jamal and Congressman Bowman? I said, we haven't talked in quite some time. Um,
But sure you
if
could, but you're not gonna speak on their behalf, you're not
if
carrying the
I
water
was,
for you.
but I feel like if I was going to contact Congressman Bowman, I feel like I really would want to talk about the fire alarm incident more than anything else. Um, and I'm sure he's tired of talking about it. So maybe I'll try to get him on the podcast to talk about it.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
also,
That
also,
would be
yeah,
the best.
maybe we'll figure out what the anniversary of it is and get him on next year.
I would come
Um,
up with a sound on the sound pad
Woo,
of the glass breaking
woo,
fire
woo,
or the
woo.
fire alarm going off.
uh, Doug, Tommy Tuberville, former college football coach at the
Yeah.
University of Auburn, Auburn University, has single-handedly blocked most military promotions. D- d- I didn't know senators could do that. B, this guy is a Republican senator from Alabama. We're not talking about
Mhm,
like,
mhm,
you know, some
mhm.
anti-war,
Right.
dovish liberal from
Some
the
Rand Paul.
Northeast. Yeah, like this is a football coach. He's a
Yeah,
football coach who's become a senator, just basically single-handedly torpedoing the United States military. This guy
yeah.
with glee,
And then
even.
quit doing that, and then all of them were appointed, and nothing came of it other than a year's worth of complete hassle for people and his standing in the in people who pay attention to such things, his
Yeah,
standing having
yeah.
collapsed so profoundly.
Ridiculous. Yeah, the United States Senate. I mean, and many of our honorable mentions here include United States senators like Bob Menendez, senator from New Jersey,
Yeah,
who's
that didn't even
apparently
make
has
our list. That's incredible.
gold bars. Gold bars. Doug, how many gold
Bars.
bars do you have?
I got
Bars
bars.
of
Well,
gold just
I keep
hanging around the house.
I keep them with my in my box in my shower.
I mean,
That's what I
Bob
do.
Menendez, Democratic senator from New Jersey, accused of corruption, taking bribes,
Mhm.
all sorts of things, including keeping bars of gold.
Because,
It's just-
yeah, every once in a while he picks up a little AM radio when he's driving around New Jersey there in the outskirts, and he starts hearing these people talk about, when the economy crashes, you're gonna wanna have some canned goods, and you're gonna wanna have your currency in gold.
that's right.
That's all he was doing. He was just preparing for the impending apocalypse. Probably wasn't taking bribes from the Egyptians. I don't know why anyone would think that. Oh, that's right, the Egyptians outed him. I mean, that didn't even make our list. We're not even into the top 10
Doug,
wackiest,
Doug,
craziest
a
stories.
United States senator, Mark Wayne, something or other, Wayne Mullen, United States senator from Oklahoma, in the middle of a congressional hearing, challenged the man testifying to a fight, like cash me outside,
Yeah.
like let's go.
Stood up and everything. Like, you want to go? You want to go right now? Let's go outside. Literally said, do you want to go right now? Let's go outside. You think I
poor
didn't?
Bernie, poor Bernie Sanders had to break up a fight in the United States Senate.
And remind a man, you're a United States senator.
Like,
You know,
like
granted, you're a Republican United States senator, and what you normally do in situations like this is just raise your fist in reminiscence of 1930s Germany to a group of people who are attacking the Capitol. That's normally just what we do as senators if you're a Republican. You don't stand up and challenge a person testifying on the role of unions to
Oh,
a fight, all because his feelings were hurt that he worked hard for his plumbing company
yeah,
that he
yeah.
started. I mean, if you hear the entirety and not just the
Oh,
TikTok
just
clip,
ridiculous.
it's just
Just
like these
ridiculous.
two just, I mean, honestly, it's now I wouldn't surprise me that if both of them don't have the premium subscription to MMA fighting, and they're both watching it, because I do think that's particular act of barbarity does attract people from both political sides. So that could be what's
Yeah,
going on, is that
yeah.
they Hey, can I
Doug, the
make a little
United
commentary about that? Because when we were
Yeah,
kids, both
yeah,
of us
yeah.
watched professional wrestling, which was
Yeah, loved
rather
it. Yep,
athletic,
yep, loved it.
rather certainly rather dangerous,
Mhm.
but not actually punching each other in the face to knock each other out.
Yeah,
Now we have MMA, as if people were like,
yeah,
"Hey, let's not have the fun family version. Let's have the
yeah,
really like cruel
yeah,
family version and put
yep.
someone in a chokehold." At Christmas, we had a Christmas holiday with the family, because now
Yeah, yeah.
Christmas has got to be like,
Weeks
the
long. Mhm,
like Black Friday is now a month long. Well, our
mhm.
Christmas is like that. And during Christmas, we're sitting around, there's a TV on, and had football on, which somehow seemed reasonable for grown, highly trained athletes in outfits to smash into each other. That's reasonable Christmas activity. But then it transitioned into a guy putting another man in a chokehold until he knocked him on the ground, and then punched him in the face a bunch of times until he won on our
And
TV as
and you
entertainment. So
and
honest to
you
goodness, anybody that's like, and then a congressman or a senator wanted to bully somebody else.
and you know
A world riddled with violence, I say.
you know who was likely in the crowd? Former President Donald Trump and his lawyer. Have you seen this? He takes his lawyer. Hey, I don't know her
To
name.
MMA?
Yes, his lawyer company almost like she's a date. He takes his lawyer to see MMA fights. Yeah, UFC fights. Yeah. Doug, the United States
Oh,
Senate changed its dress code rules so that John Fetterman could wear shorts and a hoodie.
yeah, that's really. I
Bizarre.
feel like I think more about what I'm going to wear on this podcast than
John
Fetterman
Fetterman
thinks
thinks
about when he's
about.
going to work.
Listen, I like John Fetterman.
I do
And
too.
I
Big
and I am
fan.
not well, I'm becoming less and less of a fan over the last couple of weeks, but
Oh,
we'll talk about that another time.
pray tell.
Um, um,
You,
I
you know what
am
a
and I
suggestion might be? You tell him, let's take this outside, Fetterman. I've
oof,
heard this is
I
now
don't
said.
think I'd
This is
wanna
what
fight John
senators
Fetterman.
respond to.
Yeah. Eh,
You and Fetterman
dude,
taking
put on a
dinner
s
outside.
like, listen,
Right.
I'm not like a, "You gotta wear your Sunday best to church," and, kind of person, but, like,
No.
put on a suit.
Yeah. Just it's just a work uniform, dude. It's just a work uniform. A lot of people have them.
Yeah.
It's
Doug,
not a big
I
deal.
I can't believe this did not make the top
Are you frozen right
mention.
now? Okay.
Am I?
Well,
Oh,
but what was perfect is you said, "Doug, I can't believe this didn't make the top 10," and that's right when it froze, and then I was
uh,
just waiting for you, and then I looked frozen.
yeah.
Okay, what
Okay,
didn't
we're
make the
back.
top 10?
Um, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert went to see Beetlejuice.
And got felt up in the theater on a camera, and then vaped, and then was asked to not vape, and then was asked to leave, and then lied about being asked not to vape, and then lied about vaping, and then lied about being groped, and then it was all on a video recording.
And
Honest to
she blamed
goodness.
it all on the fact that she was dating a Democrat.
She said, "Well, next time I'm gonna find out who these guys are that I'm going with before I let them grab me in a movie theater, in a production, a theater production." Ms. Lauren
Beetlejuice.
Boebert at Beetlejuice.
Oh,
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 man. I mean, truly, it's just, and as you say, we haven't even gotten to the list yet, and
oh,
we're 27 minutes or something into this.
oh, okay, here we go.
24
Number
minutes.
10.
All right. Okay.
Number 10.
Oh, wow.
The,
Okay. Hang on.
craziest,
Let
funniest,
me
wackiest, most bizarre political stories of 2023. Number 10. The, uh the governor of Arkansas spent over $19,000 on a lectern that has yet to be used. Has not used it. has not.
Well,
Uh,
how do you use a lectern that's gonna be the end of your political career? You gotta store
if
keep that thing keep it in the
if you
closet like
are
her.
if you are watching on the YouTube right now, you see a picture of Sarah Huckabee Sanders standing behind a lectern, not a podium. It's one of the things we learned. What did you learn in 2023? There's a difference between a podium and a lectern, and I've probably been saying it wrong my whole life.
And again,
Standing
I can't remember the difference between a podium and a lectern. What
Podium is a stage, a lectern is like the pulpity kind of thing.
oh, podium is the thing you stand on, a lectern is the thing you stand behind?
Yes, exactly, well said.
There
Yes.
should be fewer of those or less of those. Which would it be, Rob, when it
Be
comes would it
fewer,
be okay, thank you.
fewer. Yeah.
Something I learned, the difference between
Yeah, it's
fewer and
good.
less.
Yeah, this the lectern that she's standing behind in this picture is not the lectern that she spent $19,000 on. In fact, once she, brought the Arkansas Democrat Gazette into the state capitol to take a picture of the lectern and put it out there, um, the company, that makes these lecterns posted on their website saying, "We didn't make that lectern. And if we did, we never would have charged $19,000 for it." Crazy,
She
crazy.
showed them a fake lectern or a not the correct lectern?
We don't know. We've never seen. That's the only evidence we've ever seen that the lectern exists. And there's
Oh,
conspiracies
I
on
see,
that about
I
how the
see.
wheels are dirty, and it looks like it was a used lectern.
You're saying the
And
entire lectern thing now is that she paid her friend or someone out of a fund, and they wrote it's for, the purchase of a piece of
yes,
podium equipment called a lectern, and there was never no one ever produced any
right.
such
And it
piece
was
of
it was
furniture.
just a couple of days before
Okay.
she and that friend went to France. Yeah. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is gonna be a one-term governor in Arkansas,
Is that true?
and
She's not doing well?
yes,
Okay.
approval ratings in the low 40s, which
Wow.
is, yeah, crazy.
What is she,
Um,
a president of the United States with approval ratings like that?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, her approval ratings make Joe Biden, jealous. Uh, she's gonna be a one-term governor, and as you know, I was early on Lectern Gate back. I was on Lectern Gate back when it was called Podium Gate,
Totally.
and before one Twitter account got us all to change it. Um,
Us all,
she's gonna be
the
a
18 people that have been on the
that's right,
podium
that's right.
lectern gate.
Oh no, she's going to be a one-term governor, and this is a huge part of why. And it is kind of
Amazing.
glorious to watch. Number 9, Doug. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, showed revenge porn of Hunter Biden in a congressional hearing. Doug, what is going on?
She found so this is something that they found off of the laptop, is that right? That they found photos that he had on
Yes.
there of himself and of videos and photos of him doing sexual things with, people in drug-induced moments, which just raises so many
Mm.
questions about so many things, none of which I think are about legality, but probably another reason why I'm never voting for Hunter Biden to do
No,
anything.
seriously.
I'm
I
in
will
fact, I'm
never
probably not
vote for
voting
Hunter
for
Biden.
anyone's children to do anything
I think you
because their
vote for
parents
someone's children every time you
because
vote.
well, I know I was in the middle of a phrase. Because test tube humans only going forward here. No more human births for me. No, I'm never gonna vote for someone's child because that person was a good politician.
Mm,
It's, um, not willing to do it. But anyway,
yeah,
Hunter Biden is a mess. But the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene, you're right, would introduce into the public record as a congressperson
yeah. I
pornography from someone's computer.
yeah, this,
And you're
from the
telling me there's not some things on in her computer like, really? This is what
well,
you're
I yeah. That I mean, something that we have that we all I think we always knew, but we have had confirmed over the course of this year is that the people that are complaining the loudest, that are judging the loudest, that are uh, moralizing the loudest, are very likely to
yeah.
be, guilty of the very things that they are complaining about.
It's a good place to start
Think
looking
about
if you're looking around.
yeah. Like, I mean, it has been a year where, we've had Republican and white evangelical pastor after another,
Mhm.
accused of horrible,
No
abuse
good
of
things.
children
Mhm.
sexually. We've had just this, recently this Moms for Liberty founder in Florida, and we talked about it last week and gave you the opportunity to use the word thruple, which I know that you were excited about. Uh, it just, it's just ridiculous. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, the lengths that this woman will go
Mhm.
to get publicity, to get her face on the news, it's just reprehensible. And what she did with revenge porn essentially against Hunter Biden is just these people.
And it worked because she made Rob Ryerse's top 10 wackiest moments list. So she's got to be thrilled. We should make a
Number
certificate.
8.
We should make a
Oh yeah.
certificate and send it to her. Hey,
Oh yeah.
congratulations. Just want you to know,
You were
uh,
number 9. You were
you,
the
you,
ninth
you
craziest political story of
we're,
2023.
we're kind of hoping you'll give it a little more effort next year and bump
Mm.
yourself up to at least spot number 6.
Doug, number 8. Um, this is a late entry, because this just happened. Rudy Giuliani lost a defamation trial, and then at the sentencing hearing, I don't know exactly what they call all this, but basically it was the trial to determine damages. Um, he was uh, charged or penalized with a judgment of $148 million for defaming the 2 election workers who were passing ginger mints to each other, um, while they were counting votes, and he, accused them of passing drugs to each other, and
Yep, yep. He chose to
you
publicly slander people and cause great personal harm to them, emotional and personal harm. And then a jury found him liable for $148 million. $148 million. Do you know? I didn't follow the story closely enough to know on what determination they picked a dollar amount. Do you know?
I feel like it was I have some sense that, like, there was something like there was a $48 million judgment, and then they added another 100 million to it, like, punitively. Just because, like, dude, you have put the country through, I mean, granted, you've given us some great moments like Four Seasons, Total Landscaping,
Yes.
and the hair dye running down your neck, and you've given it
Yeah.
you've given us some wonderful moments, but you have done so much damage, and we
Yeah.
are all so tired of you. You have to go away. Here, we are going
There
to
it is. Yep.
bankrupt you. Go away.
Yeah. And this is the thing. I mean, the people that he chose to slander were surrogates in his overall slander. He didn't care. And it seems as if the jury may have been saying, we're gonna keep allowing them to be a stand-in for the rest of us. So here you go, $148 million. And then, as Alex says in the chat, he's standing by it. Just yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I heard him say,
Yeah, and
"Oh
that's why,
no,
as
the proof is
Peggy
coming
says,
out that they actually did."
yeah,
He's still
and
saying that they stuffed the ballots, that they
yes,
changed the votes. The
yeah,
very thing he was just found liable of
yes,
defamation for, he went out and did it again.
yeah, and that's why, as Peggy says in the chat, that's why they're suing him again. These same election workers have filed suit, and do you remember they were so wonderful?
Oh,
Remember them during the January 6th show? They were so great. Um, Yeah, they're suing him again to get him to stop saying this, much like Donald Trump had to be sued again to get him to stop saying that he didn't rape the woman he raped.
Yeah, Eugene Carroll.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, look, and Yabbits brings up a point that Rudy Giuliani yesterday said when a reporter said there is no evidence they did this, and he goes, "Oh, the evidence is coming." They, this crowd, the Stop the Steal crowd, the MAGA crowd, are still saying
He
to
needs to release
people,
the crack.
the evidence is coming. The truth is out there, and it's coming. Still saying it is truly remarkable to me, Rob, that they could.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see. I've been around a lot of liars in my life.
Mm,
People lie about many, many things. People are, bullshitters and everything. Totally get it, right? We should just absorb that into like that happens. But most people don't just keep saying the same thing for 3 years that has been proven untrue. They change the story, right? A good liar, a good BSer is gonna change the story to update it. This
yes.
crowd, nope, still coming. We're gonna
Doug,
you're gonna find out
if
Venezuela
somebody
was using their software to change votes.
if somebody said to you, "Doug, you have said these words, and that is wrong, and the consequences of that is you need to pay $148 million."
Yeah.
Would the very next thing you would do would be to walk outside to a microphone and say those very words again?
Well, now, when you put it that way, maybe maybe you're like, "Look, I don't have 148 million bucks. I mean,
I might as well just double
I'm
down
I'm
and
out
keep
of
going.
I'm out of gas. The only thing I can do is act like I was innocent," which he's truly
Yeah,
doing, acting
yeah,
like, "I didn't do anything wrong. I'm the hero." I mean, well, we always do this thing about heroes, villains, and victims, and that people always find a way to see themselves as the hero, and so we have to get out of the hero, villain, victim story. Rudy Giuliani is pitching himself as the hero.
yeah.
He's the
He's
one doing the right thing and being misunderstood and being punished for doing
yeah,
the right thing.
yeah,
It is truly, whether he's delusional or just a fraudster or some combination of the two, doesn't much matter. It's
yeah,
off the rails. It
yeah.
is just,
And the sad thing is these 2 really wonderful women, these election workers in Georgia, who were just enjoying some ginger mints, um
don't even know what a ginger mint is.
Me either, but when,
What's a
like, they
ginger
said it
mint?
during the January 6 hearings
Oh,
like it
I
was
don't.
a thing, I'm like, "Is that a thing? A ginger mint?" "She's just giving me a ginger mint." Like, I don't even know what that is. Um, they're never gonna see a penny of this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's not gonna pay a penny, and that's a sad thing because he
Yeah. I
doesn't have
mean,
a real
they're going
job
to,
where they could garnish his wages.
right. They're going to end up being tied up in a lawsuit, and then that will lead to a settlement of some kind. And yeah, the stuff will all
Yeah,
be very,
yeah. It's gonna be
very
like an
complicated.
O.J. Simpson situation where, like, somebody's gotta get Rudy's Heisman and auction it off. Okay, number 7. Doug, Mitch McConnell
Mhm.
froze
Not
a couple
once.
of times. Doug, this was weird.
Yeah.
This is less funny and more weird.
So weird. And the fact they just are like, no, that wasn't a thing.
Nobody's
Because
talking about the fact that Mitch McConnell, the the minority leader of the Senate, one of the most powerful men in Washington, on 2 different occasions during press
yes.
conferences, froze mid-sentence, like someone unplugged him. Do you remember that show, what was that show with the little girl who was a robot? What was that called? The
Mm.
80s show with that little
Mhm.
girl
Mhm.
who was
Mhm.
a robot,
Mhm.
and, she would and then sometimes
Mm.
she would
Mhm.
freeze. Small Wonder?
Maybe.
Small Wonder? Maybe. Um, Yabbits will know. Um, he just Doug, he froze twice.
Yep. And froze while performing his professional duties as a senator speaking on behalf of the Republicans. Like he didn't just, it's not like, hey, sometimes, doing things, he sort of slows down. He's doing his thing and went into what anyone would call a cognitive episode. And yet, hands off. Upside, he could wear shorts if he needs to. So, and if he chooses to challenge someone to a physical altercation, he's ready to do that as well. The
Listen, if he
the
does, my money is not on Mitch McConnell because he could freeze
he
mid-punch.
he's wiry. Um,
Doug, he froze.
yeah, I hear you.
Th This is not okay. It's not okay. Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Doug, number 6. Mike Pence ran for president.
Mike Pence. Go get him, Mikey. You go get him.
Did this guy really think he could be president of the United States? The best chance he had to be president of the United States was Donald Trump getting impeached on, one of the 2
Mhm.
occasions in which he was impeached twice,
Yes.
impeached and removed from office. Uh, that was his best chance to be president. Mike Pence thought he could be president. Mike Pence and Mother sat across the table,
Mhm.
and Mike said, "Mother, I'm gonna do it." And Mother replied, "Mikey, like,
You go,
it
Mikey.
is
Hey, Mikey, I
it
like it.
is the Lord, like, wants you to do it."
The Lord has called you to run. Yeah. Just the run meant to run down the stairs away from the people who Donald Trump sent the insurrection to physically assault him.
This guy this
Yeah.
guy, he thought he could be
I
president.
no, yeah, look, wackadoodle, right? Of course. The one thing I do appreciate about him was did put a flag in the ground that someone who worked so closely with Donald Trump was saying Donald Trump shouldn't be elected the next president. Th that's pretty that's
Yeah,
about as clear as you get. Now, will he turn around and support Donald Trump if he becomes a
of
nominee?
course.
100% he will. But
Yeah.
for a brief period of time, he was at least willing to say, "The man was wrong. He's unqualified for office. I needed to run to prevent" like that,
Well,
you
it's
know?
probably because his son convinced him to say that. 'Cause, one of the things we learned this year is that Mike Pence has no conscience of his own.
It's hard for him to
He
figure out what the right thing to do is.
Yes, he's got no moral compass of his own. He relies on the moral compass of other people, and thankfully, he relied on the moral compass of his son, who convinced him to,
Mhm.
go do his job and certify the election of Joe Biden as president of the United States. But I would say this, Doug, it makes no difference that someone close to Trump would
Mhm.
say that Trump shouldn't be president because like that will have no impact on the people who support Donald Trump because these are the very people who were chanting on January 6th that Mike Pence should be hung, erected gallows outside the United States Capitol so that Mike Pence could be hung.
The presidential election very well as, we are telling people all the time, could come down to somewhere between 70 and 100,000 people scattered between 5 states.
Mhm.
Could Mike Pence choosing to run not change the people who wanted to kill him, not change their minds, but could it change the minds of 20,000 people scattered across 5 states? Let's give it
Well, I think if
3,500 to 4,500 people per state that would say like,
I
yeah,
think if his presidential
I hope.
campaign is any indication, the answer to that question
That
is
is
no.
no. No.
Doug,
But
number
nice
5 on the
try, but
yeah,
nice try, Mike.
number 5 on the craziest, funniest, can you believe this guy list of 2023? George Santos. Oh, he was just a gift this year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, George Santos, former
What a
Congressman
man.
George Santos. Um, this guy, like, yelling at people in the Capitol, the sweater wearing, glasses wearing, friend of Kevin McCarthy, like, finally like taken out of the United States Congress. This guy who apparently used campaign money on OnlyFans. This guy whose campaign apparently stole credit card numbers. This guy whose
Yeah.
campaign manager, finance director called people up impersonating the campaign manager, the chief of staff, somebody in Kevin McCarthy's staff. This guy
Yeah, yeah.
who lied about
His
everything
own
in
pedigree. Yeah,
his
yeah.
own resume, uh, was finally kicked out of Congress. It took
Finally.
3 attempts.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. It took a long time. And just to be, to round out the list of his accomplishments, he was able to defeat Democrats in the state of New York to win the seat. Eh, just to be clear, as bad as he was the choice for the voters in his district over the Democrats who had held that seat for a couple of decades.
Yeah.
Like,
And
and
now
I know the person who was in the seat and then decided not to run, and then Santos ran, is now
yeah.
going to run for the seat, and he's going to be back in it. In fact, we're going to do a bunch of work with him. But the fact that like he's just was so unbelievable, unknown. No, he didn't have any infrastructure, and the guy with this level of like bizarre behavior still won a congressional seat in the state of New York in 2022 when Republicans did worse than anyone ever imagined they would. And the only reason Republicans hold power of the House is because Democrats in New York didn't just meet their bare minimum, hold their seats. Had they done that, we wouldn't be dealing with any of this.
and now any one of us
Unbelievable.
and now any one of us can get George Santos to send us a cameo video, which
Which
is just
really
amazing.
might, honest to goodness, be worth the money.
Seriously. Doug, do you think we could get him to do an opening for this podcast? Like, hey, I'm George Santos, and you're listening to Rob and Doug, the Common Good Politics Podcast.
There is no doubt that for $250 or $150 or whatever it is, that man will say whatever we want him to say.
Well, listen, we need one of you there in the the watching on the YouTube to hit us with a super chat and
super chat us up $250 so we can get Santos to make us
yeah,
up.
and we will spend that money on George Santos giving us a cameo to be the opening for our show.
Holy moly!
Oh, this guy. Oh, Doug, I have to admit now that he's no longer a congressman, I am 100% in on George Santos. I don't want him to go away. I love him. I want him in our public discourse. This guy.
Horrible.
Oh,
I
oh.
truly, I say this a little bit in jest because it's the fun podcast episode, but also in sincerity. I do hope he gets the help he needs. Truly, truly.
I don't.
It
I don't. I want
cannot be good to be
George
in
Santos
that life for
never
him.
change.
It's
Never change, George.
no,
Never
please,
change.
please, just be be good to yourself, George, and get the help you need.
So
Hey,
fantastic.
can I introduce this next one because it
Oh, yeah,
was
because this
so.
was the one I forgot, and you said, "What about this?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah, there are
Number
two
4.
of these stories that I've been thinking about sort of nonstop since they broke his news stories, and they bring um, an inappropriate amount of pleasure to my soul.
That's well said.
Donald Trump had a mug shot taken when he was put into custody in Georgia. The former president of the United States stood for a mug shot. And we have
Oh,
it. And as much as they want to brag about it, that they raised $7 million off that thing, this isn't going to wear well. This goes down. This could be the basis of the presidential painting that's ultimately going to end up in the White House someday.
oh.
There could be an oil of this with the little badge up there. And I mean, he couldn't look. I know that the Trumpies, the Red Hatters, in fact, our good friend Casey Franklin, the Red Hatter, thinks this is a real sign of strength and defiance. I'm like, looks like a person that's in real trouble to me. The mugshot of
It's
Donald Trump,
it's amazing.
scowling.
And scowling because
Was
he
booked
he was
into the Cook County Jail in Georgia and then
Doug.
released on his own recognizance.
Yeah,
Which
that's a
I
bit.
couldn't use own recognizance in any sentence other than was released on his own recognizance. I'm not sure what the word means other than I know what that sentence means, but, so I couldn't use it, but he was released
Yeah,
on his
Doug.
own recognizance.
You think he practiced for this mugshot? Do you think he tried out in the mirror different poses? Do you
No
think there
question.
was a do you think there was a team of, because we remember that, Donald Trump could have been reelected president and been the hero of the COVID pandemic if he had just encouraged people to wear masks. But you
Yep.
remember, like, he and he could have made a lot of money because he could have sold red MAGA masks all day long. Instead, he, in a meeting with advisors, he said it looked like somebody said it looked like somebody had a pair of underpants on their face, and he was forever, after that, anti-mask. Do you think he had a similar meeting with this, where like you just see him like, okay, what if I stood like this? What if I stood like this?
Mhm.
What if I and tried out a bunch of different poses,
Yeah.
and they all decide, oh yeah, that's the one. Do that one. Here's what I probably think happened. I think they probably picked one, and then he went with this one instead. Like, all of his advisors are like,
Yeah.
okay, I know you like that scowling one, but
Yeah.
this one makes you
Yeah.
look
Yeah, that's right.
approachable and like a
Yeah.
victim and a
Presidential.
martyr,
Yeah. Mhm.
and
Uh-huh.
something about that, I don't want to be a victim, and so I don't want to be a martyr, and so he went with the scowl here, where
I
he
wanna
looks like
look
a
like a criminal.
supervillain. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a and, those photos came out. Isn't there one from Batman or something where he looks like the character in Batman?
Yeah, he looks like,
Yeah,
I think he looks like the Penguin, doesn't he?
it
I'm
could be the
not
Penguin. Yeah, but it's just saying that they're selling digital trading cards. Yeah, the fact that Trump selling digital trading cards also isn't one of our stories, beyond the
Oh,
mugshot digital trading card. That
just
anybody was
the
buying
NFTs in
NFTs
general.
as a
Oh.
thing was, I mean, we could do a whole
See,
political,
see,
uh,
Donald
story.
Trump. No, 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 no. Donald Trump ruined NFTs.
Okay, I think it might be an alternative history here that NFTs were always,
Number three, Doug. It
uh,
took the Republicans 15 rounds of voting to get a Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Oh, do you remember back the glory days of January, early January, where we were glued to our televisions? Well, no, glued to the C-SPAN feed on YouTube as we were watching
I watched it on my
Republicans.
TV,
I watched it on
so
YouTube
I was
mostly.
glued to my television
Oh,
through cable.
so fantastic as Kevin McCarthy, watching Kevin
Yes,
McCarthy twist in the wind,
and give it all
being
away.
vote.
Yep.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yes, having to go to Matt Gaetz and others and plead with him. Matt Gaetz, a man who was under indictment and whose coworkers have been charged with crimes and who is, by his own admission, paid multiple people to be sexual partners with him, had to go to him and beg for his approval so he could become Speaker of the House. Kevin McCarthy.
Oh,
Oh,
and Doug, every
flying
time.
high. Finally got it. Finally, I mean, he was going to be Speaker of the House until he made that fateful mistake of saying, well, Hillary Clinton's approval ratings were through the roof until Benghazi hearings, and then we took her down. Like, and people are like, "Oh no, Kevin, you can't tell people that's why we ran a congressional hearing was to impact the political outcome." So then he had to step aside and not become speaker, and it irked him and irked him and irked him until he finally got all the ducks in a row and finally made a deal, took the speaker's gavel and said, "Now I'm in my rightful place." And it took him
Doug,
17,
the
15 votes, 17 votes
15 rounds
ultimately.
of voting, and my favorite part every time was, with the nominating speeches that were made, for him, everybody cheering each time, 15 different nomination speeches. everybody cheering each time like it was the first time ever. Um, every time he voted for himself in the midst of the voting, the Republican caucus would erupt in applause as if there was some kind of great accomplishment that Kevin McCarthy was voting for himself for the eighth time, for the ninth time, for the 10th time, for the 11th time, for the 12th time, for the 13th time, for the 14th, for the 15th time. And then finally, he went and said something to Matt Gaetz. We don't know what he said. And there was like a stern confrontation. And then Matt Gaetz decided to vote present,
And he was
allowing
in.
Kevin McCarthy to be the Speaker of the House,
And the little
along with
engine that
his
could got to the top of the mountain.
along with his little friend Marjorie Taylor Greene, who taking selfies together. That was a
Oh
weird
yeah.
thing that happened.
No, she's a
Uh,
big booster. Big booster.
but Doug, it didn't last long because also in 2023, our number two story, Kevin McCarthy was taken down
By
by
Matt
Matt Gaetz.
Gates. By Matt Gates. By Matt Gates. By Matt Gates. Let's just remember Matt Gates.
I mean, I don't remember if he's Beavis or he's Butthead. I can't remember which one of the two that he is. Jim
Wow,
Jordan's
sure.
the other one. Have you ever seen the side by side of Beavis and Butthead and Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan?
I
It
have
is
not, but in my mind right
oh,
now I'm
it's
seeing it and
glorious.
how I didn't notice that.
Yes, it is glorious. Yeah, so Matt Gaetz, a congressman from Florida, the aforementioned Matt Gaetz with all sorts of scandals, went to the floor of the House and moved that the speakership be vacated, and it was.
Yep.
Kevin McCarthy was booted. He was
Fired.
removed from office, fired. What did not happen to Donald Trump twice happened to Kevin McCarthy.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was removed from office and lost his speakership. Um,
By his coworkers.
it's-
Like you think about it, it's one thing to have voters come after you. It's one thing to have your political opposition come after you. When your coworkers get together and say, "Hey," it's like the episode of The Office. "Hey, you're not on the party planning committee anymore." Given with your great level of accomplishment this year, which is nearly nothing, you don't get to be in that role anymore. You're fired from the party leadership. I mean,
eh,
it's just and now this is the story this is connected to the story that sits and just shamefully warms my heart. Now Kevin McCarthy is leaving Congress. He's quitting the whole thing. Like he didn't
yeah,
get to be the shift manager, the
yeah,
afternoon shift manager any longer. So he's quitting the Fuddruckers hamburger restaurant. And
yes.
he's just gonna go home and he's gonna go to his buddies over on Wall Street and see if he can be helpful to the American people over there. In other words,
And
as a beloved child of God and light of the world, he's going to let his dim little light shine somewhere else and stop bothering the good people of Bakersfield, California, and the United
yeah,
States of America.
thankfully.
Run,
Um,
run out of Congress, Rob. Not just removed from the
yeah,
speakership, but essentially humiliated and run out of Congress
and his
by Matt
yeah,
Gaetz.
yeah, and his deputy, who took over for him, Patrick McHenry, is that his name? Also, retiring and leaving Congress. But one thing, Doug, I don't know if you followed some of the things that Kevin McCarthy has said on his way out the door. He is, as Yabbitt said, he did kidney punch someone on his way out, and like very literally and now metaphorically doing that as well.
Is
Um,
that true? Did he physically assault someone on the way out?
yes, yes, you don't remember that? Oh yeah,
No,
he
no, no.
like shove, punch, like yeah, yeah.
He
It was a
MMA'd somebody like with a little
it
forearm right in the kidney.
No, it was another Republican congressman, yeah. Yeah, we'll have to get the video of that. It's
Okay.
yeah, it's amazing.
Well,
The
okay, I thought
revenge
Yabbits was kidding, but Yabbits wrote he kidney punched someone on the way out and then wrote, McCarthy is sending out Elon Musk Christmas cards. Is that true?
I don't know about
Okay.
that.
Huh.
Um,
Okay. I mean, look, it's just a political podcast. Who knows what's true?
I think exactly. We make up half this stuff anyways.
The
Who's
truth.
gonna have the bigger like, listen, we've talked about the George Santos revenge tour where, he's going after those who came after him. Um, Kevin McCarthy, the revenge tour with Kevin McCarthy might be even more significant and more fun to follow
Oh,
than George Santos.
is this
But
happening? Kevin McCarthy is
oh yeah,
spilling the
yeah.
beans.
Yeah, he has had like he said that Matt Gaetz deserves to be in prison. He's made a number of like very
Wow.
pointed accusations at Matt Gaetz. I mean, one of my predictions was wrong. I really predicted they were going to give him the Madison Cawthorn treatment, that Matt Gaetz was going to get that from Kevin McCarthy. Turns out it didn't happen, but Kevin McCarthy is gone. And then the Republicans, it they didn't have they didn't have a plan. They didn't have a plan B. They didn't have backup. They didn't have a safety net.
They don't support the Plan B.
All the That's true. You know what they did? They spent 3 weeks trying to find a new speaker. Was it going to be Steve Scalise? No. Was it going to be Jim Jordan? No.
Right.
They kept picking. They picked
It is
somebody else. I can't
shocking
remember.
that in something as important as the third position away from the presidency, that there's not a folder somewhere with the alternative person to the one who's in that role all the time. That could just slide right up and in. Republicans are that dysfunctional. They couldn't even have a second in order to be the third in order to the
And it took
presidency.
them 3 weeks to pick, you know, Pastor Mike Johnson to take over as Speaker of the House. It was really, I mean, a remarkable thing. And now Pastor Mike Johnson has done everything that Kevin McCarthy did that got him booted in the first place, which was,
Yeah.
I don't know, keeping the government from shutting down.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But Kevin, now Alex is telling us the story
Yeah.
on the screen. So if you've seen it,
Yes.
so one of the another congressman um, said that his name is Tim Burchett
I'm
says that
pretty
Kevin
sure
McCarthy slugged him in the back on the way out.
I'm
Um,
pretty sure there's a video. But
so to Matt Gates' credit, the thing he was bothered by was that Kevin McCarthy lied to him. Not that Kevin McCarthy kept the government open, but he said some things that he didn't do. Because the one thing we all know about Matt Gates is that man is just committed to the truth.
that's right.
I mean, this is
Integrity.
just it's so
Integrity is really the
ridiculous.
deal breaker.
Yeah, I mean, you can say a lot about Matt Gates, but I don't think anybody's been like, well, that guy, he's just a man of his word.
Mhm.
He's a real, he's a real honest being. That guy, just a
Mhm.
truth teller right down the center.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right,
Doug,
number
number
one,
1. Number 1. Donald Trump had a box of pants.
truly your favorite story.
Donald Trump had a box of pants. Donald Trump had a box of pants.
Uh, Kept his pants in the box, in my golf
Amazing.
pants. In my-
Amazing. He
okay, for
pants in the
people who
box.
don't, for people who don't remember, when Donald Trump was accused of holding possessions that belonged to the United States government and then didn't
Accused because
return
he
them,
did it.
he said, "Well, they were inside the box with my golf pants, and I didn't have time to go through them yet." And Rob was
Yeah,
appropriately tickled
I
by the
couldn't just
fact that the man
couldn't just
keeps his pants, golf pants, in a box with file folders.
I mean, it's one thing if you're moving and you empty your drawer into a box, and so, like, all your T-shirts are in a box and you market T-shirts. It's like, it's another thing to be in an office, I don't know, maybe like an oval shaped office, to be in a place like, I mean, it's one thing if you're like moving into a new office in the strip mall and, you've got just a few
Yeah,
those
right.
letter boxes scattered around the floor and you got to make a quick change because you got to like go golf with a client and then you get back and you've got a meeting and then you can take your work home at night like a Better Call Saul kind of thing and you got your
Yeah,
box with your pants in
yeah.
the box cuz it's easy to carry. trying to come up with scenarios where
You
it
could
makes
go.
sense to put pants in a box when you're president of the United States
You
stealing classified documents. You put your pants in the box with the classified documents. There's the nuclear secrets. There's the Iran invasion plan, and there's your pants. You think he took his belt out, or like
Oh,
he put
no,
his
no,
pants?
didn't even
Put his,
unbutton them, just pulled
put his
them straight
pants
down.
in a box, Doug. He put his pants in a box,
Yeah,
and that was his
yeah,
excuse.
yeah.
I can't give you back the Iran war plans, the invasion plans that the Joint Chiefs of Staff came up with because my pants are on top. My pants are in the box where they are, and I can't give them back because my pants
Yeah.
are in the box.
And I didn't have time to go through them. Well, I got a whole protocol for pants that are in the box. You don't just put any pants in the box. I got to do a thing. There's a ritual that goes through. So if you want me to talk about the documents that are in the box, I don't have time. I've only been out of office for 9 months. I don't who.
What's the scenario that you're in? Okay.
Yeah, there is
You're
none of
okay.
all the things.
You're in the Oval Office. Somebody comes in with a box of documents. You're like, these look good, but I gotta take my pants off.
Hang on, yeah, hang on. Could somebody go grab the the Dockers, but get the stretchy ones because I like the stretchy ones.
Like, what's the
Stuff
scenario
them in the
when you're
box.
president of the United States that your pants end up in a box
You know
with
what?
classified
Okay,
documents?
what if it was this? What if it was?
I can't
I don't
take
want those documents
it.
rattling around in there. Let's see if we can get something to pack them in there nice and tight, and then
That's right.
here, hang on,
So that's the scenario.
use
You're
these.
thinking, yeah,
He was just filling the gap. He was filling the air gap between the top of the box
yeah,
and the lid,
yeah,
and he
yeah.
thought he'd use his
You don't
pants.
want his pants. I mean, some people get air pillows. Donald Trump
Uh,
gets
Donald
oh,
Trump. And here's the best thing about this whole story. This is the excuse that he used for not returning documents for which there was a subpoena. Like, right? Like he thought, oh, well, but here's the thing. They're in
oh,
the box
a
that
judge
have
is
my
gonna
pants, my golf pants in there.
the judge
And
is
then
gonna be like,
someone's like,
wait,
oh,
wait a
dude.
minute, wait a minute. Your pants were in the box? Well, this changes everything.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
case
come on,
dismissed.
Justice Department. Give the guy a
Case
minute. He's got to first go
case
through his pants.
dismissed.
He's got to first go through his pants. It really is just so insane. I mean, you just can't come up with any way this makes sense. Why there are pants in the box? That's just, as you've articulated so clearly, just a conundrum.
How did this
Why that
happen?
would have anything to do with you not returning subpoenaed documents, and then you would tell people this? You like of the reasons that you believe you should not be charged with crimes against the United States in a legal indictment? Is it that
And
your pants were in the box?
how many boxes had pants? I
They
mean,
could all have
we're
had
talking
pants.
about
There might he might have pants in
you
every
think about
box.
you think about the picture of the stage at Mar-a-Lago covered in boxes. You think about the picture of the bathroom and the
Yeah,
shower
yeah.
filled with boxes. Are there pants in every
Could,
single box?
there could be pants in all the boxes. I mean, this might be the thing that he's just like, well, of course there's pants in every in every box.
Where else would you put your
Uh,
pants?
I mean, I didn't think I was leaving the White House. I mean, to my credit, I know they were setting up an entire inauguration, but
I didn't. Yeah.
I mean, I was ready to release the Kraken. I
Yeah.
was I
I
Ru
mean, took his pants off and did
Rudy
release
told
the
me that those were not ginger mints,
Kraken.
and I was pretty sure.
Oh.
Look, the fact that, our grandchildren or future generations will have a rhyme that makes as much sense as "liar, liar, pants on fire, hanging from a telephone wire,"
Ooh,
that
I've
will
never heard the
involve.
hanging from a telephone wire part.
Okay, so where I grew up, it was "liar, liar, pants on fire,
Yeah.
hanging from a telephone wire." How did you finish that child rhymey
It was
phrase?
just liar, liar, pants on fire.
Not hanging from anything? I would love to hear people in the
No.
chat about where their local
Where their
colloquium.
pants were hanging?
Yeah. There's going to be a "liar, liar, pants in a box" phrase somehow that people are gonna be on some hologram cast in future generations being like, "Well, why would anyone's pants be in a box? Like, why would anyone's pants be on fire?" And they're just gonna be like, there was never pants in a box. It's just a thing we say."
Like, no, there were pants,
No, no,
important pants.
there was a president who, before he went to jail, and not the one for which we have the mug shot, the one where they didn't take a mug shot, but then they did take an inmate number shot. He put his pants in the box, and then he thought, "Maybe I'll be president again." Because nobody puts Donnie in a
Oh,
corner, and Donnie puts his pants in a box.
Doug, 2023 was a hilarious year. I mean, some horrible, terrible, very
Mm,
serious things happened in 2023. We also made some
and
good progress and hilarious.
unbelievable. This group of clowns, and I don't mean it in the happy way, really in the
Yeah.
sad clown way. This group of sad clowns.
Not including Jamal Bowman, the rest of
some
them.
Sometimes, yeah, that is a thing that shows the political bias of the Common Good podcast. Is that, I mean, a passing glance at the the fire alarm puller, a passing
I
glance
mean,
at the gold bar stasher, a passing glance at the senator who won't wear pants. We we spent we spent more time.
oh,
Oh boy. All right. Well, hey, friends, we're off next week for the podcast, and in 2024 we're going to be back on the road an awful lot, including January 11th in North Carolina,
mm,
Charlotte, North Carolina, and including the 14th, 15th, 16th of January in Iowa. So if you're in any of those places or want to go to those places, come see us.
yeah.
Make sure you're on the Vote Common Good email list if you want to keep up on all that stuff. And of course, I don't know, click buttons that tell you things about when we're live on the internet, and things that tell other people that you like are things on the internet. I don't know how that works. All right, we good, Rob?
Yeah,
Happy
and
list.
just
Thank you. A
a
great
yeah,
list. A great list.
all of our friends in the chat that we've gotten to laugh with this year. Thank you for putting up with our our dark takes on things sometimes and laughing along with us.
Yeah.
Alex and Peggy and Yabbits and who else is on here?
Natalie.
Jim, of
Natalie's
course,
new to it.
Natalie. Yeah,
By the way, Natalie is a great name, isn't it? I mean, the way it's spelled, the whole thing. When someone says Natalie, isn't that a
yeah.
fun word? Natalie.
Yeah, so Vanessa and I went to breakfast at Susan's this morning, our favorite breakfast spot,
Okay,
and
this has now become a thing.
yeah,
I
it is
brought
a
this
thing.
up a couple weeks ago when you said that you went there, and it used to be a Saturday morning thing. And it was like, well, this one time
I know,
because there was a job offer. Now it's just become a regular Tuesday thing.
I know. It's craziness.
Is that the world we live in now, Rob? That
Yeah.
you and
I
okay,
mean, next thing you know, I'll be putting my pants in a box. But we went and our waitress, one of our favorites, her name is Natalie,
Ah,
and Natalie is the one who one day could not remember my name and referred to me as Mr. Vanessa, and now Natalie calls us the Vanessas. And,
Uh,
and even though she knows my name is Rob, she still calls me Mr. Vanessa, and it makes me laugh every time. And so,
Adorable.
yeah, she
Yeah.
served us this morning. Yeah,
I mean,
it's
there
great.
there are names that are just lovely sounding. They have a lilt. I mean, some people's name are like blessing and
Duh.
love and hope. And then honestly, Rob, there's people like you and I that have like
Yeah.
monosyllabic names that end in hard, you know, sounds, buzz
Oh,
and
yeah.
guzz. And hey, did I tell you the joke that my friend gave me about now that I'm playing music in front of people at open mics?
Mm-mm.
Uh, hey, now that I'm
Mm-mm.
playing music in front of you here at this open mic, it's time that I have a stage name. So I'm now the artist formerly known as Dig, but you can call me Doug.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it
Oh,
so much.
it's so good.
Oh, and it immediately cracked me up.
So good. Yeah.
Oh,
How
oh.
I've never thought of that.
Have you used it yet?
Oh, I've used it. Yeah. And each time I've used it, I've had to say, "Oh, come on. That's a great joke." Like, it's either met with people just
Oh, you think
looking at you
you
like,
could follow it with, "You think that was bad? Just wait until I start singing."
"Oh, no, that's exactly what happens." I'm like, "Hey, that's the highlight of my of my shtick." The only way that could have been worse is if it was out of tune and out of rhythm. Which brings me to this little number. Uh, Artist formerly known as Dig, which is way better than Doug. I mean, what I really should do is not be so anxious. Jim will appreciate this, because he's a stand-up comedian, our Jim Eaton. Uh, um, I should just let the joke go and just say, "Hey, I'm now the artist formerly known as Dig, but you can call me Doug," and just leave it at that.
Yes.
But I can't get
You
myself to
can.
do it each time.
Oh, oh,
And I preface it with my friend told me a joke. Like, really, I step all over the joke.
oh, yeah. No,
Right.
you have to deliver it straight. Just let
Yeah.
it be.
Because I always introduce you at an open mic like, "Hey, and next up, Doug," which again, thank you. It's great. But the difference between that and next up, Natalie, or next up, Doug, like, oh my gosh. I guess what I'm really saying is my stage name should be
Natalie.
Natalie, but that just layers a whole other level of complication in the whole thing. All
Oh,
right, well, happy New Year to everybody. So yeah, we're not here before it's 2024. Unbelievable,
yeah.
2024. All right, well, farewell, Rob Ryerse. Uh,
See you next year.
oh,
God, ah.
God,
I gave Whimsy that joke to hit her classmates with today at the last day of school.
Peggy said, "I bet you guys think about the podcast all day and laugh."
Yeah,
Well,
this will
we
crack me up
usually
all day.
we usually re-listen to it just to enjoy. I just go for a walk this afternoon and I just put it on and just sort of enjoy it.
I have gotten texts from you at times where you're like, "I was re-listening and that was actually pretty good."
Yeah, there was one time. Why was that I listened? I listened to something. I think I was listening to like how the audio is
Yeah,
working and stuff.
yeah, checking the
And
quality.
I got enthralled in our very own podcast like a year ago and listened to the whole rest of the thing. Now, granted, it had been like 5 days since we did it, but
Uh,
I laughed out loud at ourselves.
uh,
Just, do you ever do that, Rob? Do you ever exercise in public where you listen to podcasts, like you walk or
yes,
run or on a
yes,
treadmill or something,
yes, yes.
and they're
This
often
morning,
funny, and you find
oh,
yourself
yes.
like
This
awkward,
morning,
feeling
I
bad
was at
about laughing out loud in front of other people?
yeah, this morning I was at the gym listening to a podcast that I won't name, which is the single funniest thing I've ever listened to in my life,
Oh, which one is it?
and I can't recommend it.
It's just a joke. Okay, go on.
It's I
You don't have to. I was just a
okay,
joke. Just joking. Whenever somebody says, and I won't say who, I always say, "Well, yeah, who was that?"
yeah.
Like you didn't
And I
hear him
was
say that. I
laughing
won't
out
tell you.
loud on the treadmill this morning. Laughing out loud.
Laughing out loud.
Yeah, at like 5:15 this morning
Hmm.
on the treadmill.
It feels awkward, doesn't it?
So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Couldn't
it's this ill fit. It's like pants in a box. It's just ill
mhm.
fitting.
Yeah, it's just like, something's not right here. This isn't the way things are supposed to be.
Liar, liar, pants in a box. All right.
Alright.
That could be a shirt. That could be a Vote Common Good shirt in the store. Hey, when you were a kid, how did you finish the phrase liar, liar, pants in a box?
I would wear a liar, liar, pants in the box shirt.
Totally. We are making a liar, liar, pants in the box shirt. I mean, they're only gonna be $87 when you have to order them from some online store that prints on demand, but worth every penny of it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay, everybody. Well, we'll just, this is
Bye-bye.
this is bye-bye.